U.S. and Canadian immigration systems are not really that similar. For one thing, the U.S. system is primarily driven by work and by employment-based sponsorship. The Canadian system is more on the humane side. Basically, if you wanted to summarize it in like a few words, the employment investment focus of the U.S. is stronger than the, shall we say, family, humanitarian, refugee element in the Canadian system. U.S. system is highly oriented towards money, making money. The Canadian system is more about trade, finding chances for the Canadian economic system to bring in workers from overseas, things of this nature. The first way is marry your way in or have a family member sponsor you. The second way is educate your way in by signing up at a college or university and then go through the route of education, employment, and eventual permanent residence. The third way is economic, the investor way. We'll probably talk about the EB-5 program in that regard. Unfortunately, Canada at the federal level has abolished it, but at the provincial level, people can come to Canada if they're investing, for example, in BC or Alberta or Ontario. The fourth way is claim refugee status, or in the United States it's called asylum. Let's say an American marries a Canadian. American husband marries a Canadian. Some guys in the U.S., they'll use the fiancé visa. The process there is the American spouse files a petition on behalf of the foreign spouse, and the immigration system processes the petition to enable the foreign spouse to enter the U.S., and within 90 days, they have to pull the trigger and marry, and then the American spouse can file a spousal-based application. Canada doesn't have that. In Canada, it's all in or all out. Sometimes these spouses are already in the country. That's called inland sponsorship, where all the paperwork is done inside the United States. Canada has the same thing. There are two ways for both countries: inland or consular sponsoring, meaning outside the U.S. It all depends on where is the spouse that's coming into the country. And the key one is, are you bona fide really a marriage, or is this a marriage of convenience for immigration purposes? Many foreigners want to marry an American or a Canadian, not for the person, but for their passport. And so the system is designed to filter those people out. You don't come to America or Canada just because you married someone. When it comes to education, the key visa is called the F1 visa, and the magic ingredient is you get accepted at a college or university. This visa also applies to younger students like high school and so on. I'm not going to touch much on that, but if that's the case, the parents have to get involved and help with the processing. For the higher level, college, university, industrial school or whatever, you sign up. You agree that you can pay the tuition fee, and you talk to an international foreign student advisor at the college. And these people are paid to kind of do the paperwork involved. They sort out, that you have to pay this amount of money over this period of time. And they give you what's called an I-20 form, which is signed by the university's representative, saying, yes, this person's been accepted as a student. We project that the education is going to cost $75,000 per year, and we're ready to accept them into first year. If you're a Canadian, if you have one of those I-20 forms, you just go to the border. There's a visa fee that you have to pay, but it's chicken feed, a few $100s. And right at the border, they'll give you the student visa. Now, after your studies are done, after 4 years, you can also get what's called a OPT, postgraduate work permit, for 1 year. And that enables you to go out and try your profession or whatever. If you're an engineer, get a job as an engineer or whatever it might be. Following that, the pathway usually is F1 OPT for 1 year, optional practical training, postgraduate work permit. H-1B visa, which is for a graduate, someone with at least a bachelor's degree or higher. And that's, I think, up to 6 years you can sit on that program. And then from there, you go to green card through leaver certification. That's the American side of things. The Canadian side is similar. You have to get accepted at a college or university. Canada has been restraining more than the US on foreign students coming in. They've put a limit on it, and you have to get a provincial approval to come to a college in any particular province in Canada as an extra step. But usually when you graduate, they give you more time in postgraduate work permits. And then from there, you have to go through the programs, express entry mainly, to get permanent residence. That's the deal. The key one is the intercorporate transferee program. The typical example of an intercorporate transferee program is, let's say there's a manager in Toyota in Japan, and he's being transferred to a Toyota plant in Texas. Basic requirements are he's been a manager before for at least a year in the last 3 years, wherever he was, and he's coming into the U.S. to be a manager in the U.S. That's an intercorporate transferee program. It's called the L1. Very similar in Canada. Same kind of a person from even Japan can come to Canada. Same requirements, but there are a few differences. First of all, he has to be employed at the time he applies. In the other case, the American case, it doesn't matter whether he's employed right away, just that he's been employed in the last 3 years, 1 year out of the last 3 years. In Canada, he has to be employed 1 year, but he also has to be employed by the foreign company when he's applying. That's one thing. And in the Canadian one, they require also a significant benefit. We have to show a significant benefit when the guy's coming into Canada. It can be cultural, economic, or social, but we have to show that there is an added sort of national interest part to the program. And there's also one other difference in Canada. The employer has to pay an employer compliance fee so that Canada can check to see, is this guy really working in Canada as a manager and at the right place? And is he being paid what it was represented as the salary when the application was made? That program is the most prevalent, I would say, or one of the most prevalent employment-based programs that there are in both countries. You're going to have some money to get into the country. I like to say, just as a working rule for myself, I ask, look, if we're going to go down this path, you should have about $350,000 minimum to invest. Now, that doesn't fit in any particular category, either US or Canada. But if you don't have that kind of money, it's unlikely you're going to be able to get into any category. If you're at that level, you may not be able to qualify under the EB-5 program, but you could at least qualify under the E2 program to get a work visa, 5-year work visa. For example, you got to buy a hotel or a gas station or a restaurant with the money you do have, and then you take a mortgage for the rest. You could get an E2 visa that will get you in, and you're going to live there for 5 years, renew for another 5, another 5, another 5, for as long as you got your business going. That's the lowest level investor category for the U.S. Very popular. It's under the free trade agreement. And in our practice, it's the number one way that business people go into the U.S. But the premier program is the EB-5 program. Under the EB-5 program, you're not getting just a work permit for 5 years, renewable, etc. And then you have to worry about, how do I get a green card? Under the premier program, the EB-5 program, you're going straight to a green card. Now, there are two sort of ways. One is you're running your own business, and you're going to invest money in your own business and get the green card. And under that category, the EB-5 direct investment category, you have to invest $1,050,000 of your own money in the program. And if you do, then if you create 10 new jobs within a period of 2 years, when you invest, you can get first a conditional green card, which will be good for 2 years. And after that, you can apply to remove the conditions. I'm Andy Semotiuk. I'm a U.S. and Canadian immigration lawyer working at Pace Law Firm. I've been in the business for many decades. I've helped over 10,000 people with various legal problems. I'm a writer for Forbes. I've been contributing to Forbes for over 10 years now. And I'm a former UN correspondent as well. So I'm able to help people with immigration issues, and I like doing it. That's my special skill, and I'm happy to help anyone who wants help.